There are moments in life when everything you believe to be steady and certain can collapse in an instant, shattered by just a single phone call. 2 months ago, my world, the very center of my existence, my husband Tim, was ripped away from me without warning. It happened on a rainy stretch of highway, a senseless accident that no one could have predicted or prevented. Now, every morning I wake up to an empty bed, and every night I go to sleep with his absence pressing down on me. It still feels unreal that this has become my reality. People try to offer comfort, saying that time heals all wounds. But ever since that day, my own sense of time has completely vanished. Days bleed into nights, weeks into months, yet the void in my heart grows heavier, deeper, as if stretching endlessly. Since losing him, I have retreated into myself, shutting everyone out, even my own family. I know they worry, but their concern only makes the pain sharper, more unbearable. I was never particularly close to my younger sister, Jenny. She seemed to live in a world entirely her own, always radiant, effortlessly bright, while I faded quietly into the background. Then, one quiet afternoon, my phone rang, slicing through the silence. Jenny's name appeared on the screen. It was so unexpected that my chest tightened and my heart skipped a beat. "Hey, Heather," she said cheerfully. "Next Sunday, we're throwing a birthday party for my little Matt's first birthday. You have to come." Matt? My tiny nephew? A child I had never even met. I hesitated. Would it really be appropriate for someone like me, drowning in grief, to step into such a scene of joy and celebration? And yet a small, almost rebellious thought flickered through my mind. Maybe this was a chance. A lifeline. A quiet gift from above. An opportunity to reconnect with the family I had pushed away. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the first tentative step out of the endless darkness that had swallowed me whole. I went into town determined to find the perfect gift. After wandering through stores, I settled on a sterling silver dinnerware set from a renowned jeweler, imagining it blessing my nephew's life with elegance and longevity. Holding the weight of the set in my hands gave me a strange sense of resolve, a little spark of courage. I pictured handing it to Jenny, sharing a fleeting smile, holding Matt in my arms, even just for a moment. Yes, I could do this. I had to. Even a small step forward mattered. At the time, I had no inkling of the darkness that awaited me. That party would not heal my heart. It would become a stage for betrayal so cruel that it would tear me apart more completely than I had ever imagined. On the day of the party, I steadied myself with a deep breath before ringing Jenny's doorbell. When she opened the door, I was immediately engulfed by the scent of sweet perfume, the pulse of lively music, and the sound of laughter ricocheting off the walls. The house looked like a scene from a storybook. Pastel balloons, glittering garlands, and a living room bustling with elegantly dressed guests. Jenny's friends and distant relatives mingled, champagne flutes in hand, smiling and chatting animatedly. And then there was me, clad in black, a ghost among the colors, painfully out of place. "Heather, you made it." Jenny's voice pierced through the crowd. She approached me, flawless and radiant in her hugging dress and perfect makeup. "Happy birthday. Where's Matt?" I asked softly. "Oh, he's napping in the back room. I'll introduce you later," she said, her eyes flicking toward the shopping bag I held. "Oh, wow. What's this?" "It's a gift for Matt." Jenny waved her hand dismissively, her smile quick and airy. "It's nothing special." "Thank you so much." She swept me into a brief hug before whisking the bag away, toward a table piled high with presents. That was all the interaction we had, fleeting. Shallow, but it left me drained as the party reached its peak an hour later. Jenny suddenly lifted a microphone and tapped her glass. "Everyone, can I have your attention for just a moment?" The music cut off abruptly. Every eye in the room turned toward her. I lifted my gaze, curiosity and apprehension mingling in my chest. "I'm so happy to celebrate my son Matt's first birthday with all of you," she began warmly. "Thank you for coming." Polite applause filled the room. Then, with a measured pause that made my stomach tighten, she continued, And on this special day, I have something very important to share with everyone here." She inhaled, then locked her gaze on me. For a fleeting instant, I saw a cold glint in her eyes that sent a shiver down my spine. Until today. This has been a secret, but the truth is, Matt's real father is... A collective gasp swept through the crowd. My heart froze. The man who died 2 months ago, my brother-in-law, Tim. The words echoed in my ears like gunshots. My Tim, my husband. The world around me stilled. Silence pressed in from every corner. The laughter, the chatter, the music hall of it evaporated. Every eye in the room was suddenly on me, heavy with curiosity, disbelief, and a cruel sense of expectation. What? What is she saying? My voice was small, trembling, almost alien to my own ears. My mind refused to comprehend. But Jenny did not hesitate. Her voice sharpened, frosty, and merciless. As Tim's only child, Matt is entitled to his inheritance. Of the $250,000 he left, half and even the house you live in, Heather rightfully belongs to this child. I felt the floor give way beneath me. Reality twisted, slowed, and fractured. Her words were daggers, each syllable dripping with malice. Was this some sick hallucination? A continuation of the nightmare that had begun with Tim's death? Or was it real? The guests murmured nervously, unsure how to react. Some looked sympathetic, but most were silent, waiting to witness my collapse. Somehow, I forced my legs to move, stepping forward to face her. "This must be a mistake, Jenny. Tim. He would never." My voice faltered. Jenny smiled, a blend of triumph and pity. From her bag, she retrieved her phone with fluid precision. "A mistake. Look at this, Heather. You never really knew Tim, did you?" She shoved the phone into my face. A photograph. A restaurant by the sea I instantly recognized. And there he was, Tim, grinning from ear to ear, with Jenny leaning close beside him. Not me. My heart froze. Ice water replaced the warmth of memory. Jenny swiped through more photos, each one a dagger to my soul. Them kissing in a hotel suite, her curled up asleep in Tim's car, and private messages that tore away the final veil of trust. I can't keep lying to Heather any longer. You're the only one I love. When will you tell her the truth? I swear I will before the baby is born. I want to start a new life with you and our child. Every word was a branding iron on my psyche. While I had endured infertility treatments, hoping for a future with Tim, he had been plotting another family with my sister right under my nose. My past, my love, my marriage all twisted into a grotesque lie. No, this isn't real. It can't be. I turned to my parents, desperate. "Mom, Dad, say something." Jenny's lost her mind. Their faces betrayed everything. They did not stop her. They did not intervene. Their eyes fell away, drenched in shame. Silence screamed louder than any words. "You knew," I whispered. My mother stammered, barely audible. "Heather, when..." My voice trembled. My father finally spoke, heavy and resigned. "About 7 months before the accident." 7 months. 7 months of lies, of carefully hidden betrayal. They had all known. All the pity, all the smiles of family dinners, all the comforting words, they had been accomplices. Not one person here had ever truly loved me. I could not speak. I could barely breathe. One slow, staggering step backward, imprinting every treacherous face into memory. Then I turned and fled, away from the party, away from everyone who had betrayed me. My mother called my name, but I did not look back. I have no memory of the journey home, only the trembling of my hands gripping the steering wheel, fury and despair mingling into a cold. Hard resolve dotted home. I was nothing but a hollow shell. Photos of Tim and me laughing, his favorite mug, clothes still in his closet, every relic of happiness now mocked me silently. I collapsed onto the sofa, staring at the ceiling for hours. No tears came. Grief itself had been swallowed by the shock of betrayal. Instead, something cold, hard, and unyielding began to form deep within me. Anger, a few days later. Just as I expected, a thick envelope arrived from Jenny. Legal documents? Official demands for division of Tim's estate. Every asset itemized coldly, stating Matt's claim to half of everything. My phone rang endlessly. My father pleaded, "Heather, please, let us explain." My mother tried to soothe. "Don't make a scene. Think of the child." I blocked every number. They meant nothing to me now. This was no longer about money. It was about my dignity, my life, my very self. I opened my contacts and searched for the name of a top attorney. Introduced to me by a college friend, a specialist in inheritance law. After a few rings, a calm male voice answered. "Kevin Smith, Law Offices. How can I help you?" With trembling lips, I began toss-peek. "My name is Heather. I'm about Tobe dragged into a legal battle over my husband's inheritance against my own sister." Kevin listened to my scattered story all the way to the end without interrupting once. And when I finished, he said firmly, "Heather, I know this must be incredibly hard, but you're no Taloni. I promise I will do everything in my power to protect you." The moment I heard those words, it was like a faint warm light breaking through the ice around my heart. Yes, I will fight. Even if the whole world turns against me, I'll never give up on my own life. My counterattack had begun, but the first meeting with Kevin tested the limits of my resolve. Copies of all the evidence Jenny's side had gathered were spread out across the heavy conference table. To be perfectly honest, the situation does not look good, Kevin said evenly. The photos, the message logs, and most of all, the fact that your parents are backing Jenny's claim. With all this, there's a high chance the court will be sympathetic to Jenny and her son. I knew that already, but hearing it again from an expert made the truth hit even harder, weighing me down. Could I really win? Was this fight just a hopeless, desperate struggle? Doubt crept in, like sea black fog, slowly suffocating my confidence. That night, as I sat sunk deep into the sofa staring at nothing, my phone buzzed softly. On the screen was when my mother-in-law I'd told her about today's meeting. After the party, it was when not my own parents, who came running and wrapped me in her arms, even when Tim was alive. She and I had been able to talk about anything as Isu were real mother and daughter. But no, I was almost afraid to feel Herkinness, knowing I might disappoint there. After a few rings, I steeled myself and picked up my voice, barely a whisper. "Hello, Heather. It's me. Are you okay? I was worried about how your meeting went today." Her warm, caring voice on the other end was just the same as always. And in that moment, everything I'd been holding back threatened to overflow. "I'm sorry. The situation, it's as bad as it gets. The lawyer says the evidence Jenny prepared is just too strong. Even my own parents are backing her lies. He says I barely have a chance of winning." I could hear Wing gasp on the other end of Feline as she listened to my trembling va. After a few seconds of silence, she spoke with a quiet, steely determination that was nothing like before. "Heather, listen to me. This isn't over. Absolutely not." The force in her words left me momentarily stunned. "But the evidence, if it's evidence you need, we have it too. There's undeniable truth that can overturn all of Jenny's lies from the ground up." She paused for a moment. "It's something I promised Tim I would take to the Gravedo, protect his honor. I've kept it to myself all these years, but this isn't time to hesitate. Tim's real Honoris and protecting the happiness assured. Heather, can we meet tomorrow? There's something I have to give you, and there's a truth I need to tell you in person." I could feel her seriousness through the phone, and all I could do was nod weakly. The next day, we agreed to meet at a quiet cafe in the center of town. I arrived first, nervously, sipping coffee to soothe midry throat as I waited. A few minutes later, Wynne walked in. She sat quietly across from me, her expression full of pain as she looked at me. "Thank you for coming. First, I need you to believe this. Tim never betrayed you." Those words hit me like a tidal wave. Janackled me crying after she found out what happened at the party. She was sharp-broken about having to break a promise she made to Tim. But she said, "If it's to protect my brother's honor and Heather, then I have no choice." So she told me everything. Wen slowly, carefully relayed what her daughter had shared. About 6 months before the accident, Tim came to his sister Gina, desperate for advice. He told her the Tor sister Jenny had been pursuing him relentlessly at first. He tried to turn her down gently, but her behavior escalated. Shevin showed up at his work. No, Tim loved you too much to ever want you to find out. He told Gina, Heather is sensitive. I can't let her suffer because of family drama. So he asked her to keep it secret. All those photos and messages Jenny showed at the party. They were all malicious fabrications created by her alone. Wynne met my eyes directly. Then, from her leather bag, she pulled out a slightly worn brown envelope and slid it across the table tome. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. Inside were several medical records bearing the name of a local general hospital. The moment I read the technical medical terms, I was at a loss for words. Diagnosis, aospermia, male infertility, probability of natural conception is nearly 0. It felt like I'd been struck in the head. Wiley explained. Wen was a student, Tim was in a car accident. He survived, but afterwards, the doctor found an abnormality in his testicles. Further testing revealed he was infertile. The only people who ever knew were me and Gina, whom Tim told himself. Tears streamed down my cheeks, unstoppable. But they weren't tears of sorrow. They were tears of relief because the love I believed in had never been tainted. My husband had never betrayed me. Even while suffering as a man, he kept that secret with his sister, fighting Theberden alone so he could protect me. A new feeling took hold in my heart. Aquiote, unyielding resolve, harder and stronger than anger. This was no longer just a fight for my own dignity. Now I was fighting to protect the honor of the man I loved and the truth of her marriage together with his family. With this, I could completely overturn the flawless lie Jenny had created. It wastes one piece of absolute, undeniably evidence. I gripped the medical records tightly. The air in the courtroom was cold and tense. In the gallery, relatives from the party and curious onlookers whispered, their eyes boring into me. All I could do was stare straight ahead, clutching Kevin's hand tightly at my side. On the witness stand, Jenny played the tragic heroine. A plain black dress. Barely any makeup. With the occasional tear and trembling voice. She told her forbidden love story with Tim as if it were gospel truth. We truly loved each other, but we couldn't bear to hurt my sister, so we kept it secret. My parents took the stand next, perfectly backing up Jenny's lies. Mimither cried as she described their struggle with the relationship. My father testified gravely that Tim Wasterly looking forward to Matt's birth. Their story was airtight. And even the judge's face seemed to be softening with sympathy for Jenny. I could even hear quiet sobs from the gallery. It felt like I was being slowly suffocated. Caught in an inescapable web of malice, Jenny's witnesses finished and the courtroom fell silent. Kevin stood up quietly. Your Honor, at this time that offense would like to submit a decisive piece of evidence. He handed copies off medical records Wynne had given him to the judge and Jenny's attorney. The courtroom buzzed with whispers. As Jenny's lawyer looked over the comments, a deep frown creasing his brow. What is this? These are the test results from when the late Tim was in our car accident as a student. As clearly stated, he was incapable of fathering children from that time onward. The entire courtroom fell dead silent. First time Jenny's once confident expression froze. That's a lie. It's fake. You're just trying to steal my son's inheritance with forged documents. Jenny shrieked, but Kevin remained calm. Is that so? Then let's settle this with the mastery lubal method available. He paused, then raised his voice to address the entire court. We request a DNA test to determine the biological relationship between Matt and the late Tim. In that instant, all color drained from Jenny's face. She tried to force a crooked smile. It's pointless. Tim's body was so badly damaged in the accident. He was cremated. There's no one left for comparison. No, Kevin replied gently, shaking his head. There is. He turned tough doors at the back of the courtroom. We'd like to call Wynne to the stand, Tim's biological mother. At that, the doors opened and Wynne entered the courtroom with quiet dignity. A wave of shock swept through the gallery. Genuined, my parents stared at her in utter disbelief. Wynne walked straight to the witness stand and spoke clearly to the judge. "I'll take the test. If Matt Easterly, my grandson, let the truth be revealed here and now." The judge looked gravely from Wynne to Jenny, who was no hostly pale, and brought down the gavel. "Request granted. A DNA test will be conducted, and court will reconvene on results are available." Jenny collapsed sedento, her chair like a marionette whose strings had been cut. My mother Rachetto support her, but both their faces had lost all trace of confidence. Those 3 weeks waiting for the DNA results felt like an eternity. Inside, I wasted between wanting desperately to believe in the truth, when I'd given me on the fear of what might happen if things went wrong. But unlike all Theopolis nights before, I could finally see a glimmer of dawn at the end of the nightmare. And then the day arrived. I held tightly to W's hand. Beryl Libra thing as the judge began to speak. The DNA test results were read aloud, and a hush fell over the courtroom. Based on submitted DNA evidence, there is no genetic relationship between Matt and Wynne. Therefore, it is conclusively turned that the late Tim is not Matt's biological father. The judge's solemn voice echoed through the room. Jenny sat there shaking uncontrollably, muttering, "No, no," over and over. My prince beside her looked as if they'd turned to stone. The elaborate web of lies they'd spun together crumbled instantly before the undeniable truth of science. The court finds fully in favor of the defendant, Heather. The sound off gavel marked the end of this long nightmare. Outside the courthouse, Thea's cold air felt wonderful on my flush-red cheeks. As I took a deep breath, my parents came rushing over, panic and regret written all over their faces. Mimithor sobbed, and my father looked more broken than I'd ever seen him. "Heather, please forgive us. Jenny fooled us. Can't we try to be a family again? We're so sorry for everything." But their words left no trace on my heart. I looked them both in the eye and told them quietly but firmly, "Forgive you. It's far too late for that. This isn't some silly mistake you can brush off as being tricked. Even while I was suffering through infertility treatments, even while I broke down at Tim's funeral, you stood by my side pretending to be caring parents, knowing the entire truth. Your apologies aren't for me. You just want to escape your own guilt for your own sake. The family I once longed for no longer exists." Right there in front of them, I pulled out my phone and deleted their numbers without a shred of hesitation. And I swore I would never look back again. I turned and walked away. Across the street, Wynne leaned against her car, waiting quietly for me. The moment she saw my face, she asked it softly, "Are you okay?" At that gentle question, all the tension inside me melted away. For the first time in months, I felt a genuine smile spread across my face. "Yes, I'm okay when or author. I will be from now on." As we get into the car, I finally brought up something that had been on my mind. That apartment in the city that Tim left behind. There are too many painful memories for me there. I just can't live in it anymore. If it's not too much trouble, I'd like you to have it. Wynne's eyes widened in shock. "Oh, Heather, I could never accept something like that. Please take it. You helped me get my life back. This isn't just a thank you. It's the first gift I'm giving by my own choice to the new family I found." She was speechless, emotion glistening in her eyes. Gently, she reached out and squeezed my hand. "Thank you. I've never had a daughter of my own. To think I'd finally gained such a wonderful one. Right at the very end, half a year has passed since then. I've returned to work and am pouring myself into an exciting new project. On weekends, Wynne and I meet for dinner or visit art museums together. The honest stories she shares about Tim's childhood somehow bring me peace. I've received several letters of apology from Jenny and my parents, but I throw them away without opening a single one. Sometimes, I catch my reflection in the mirror and I'm surprised by the woman I see there. She's not the person I used to be. She's no longer the broken woman crushed by grief, nor the widow trembling with rage. Life really is strange. Just when I thought I'd lost my family forever, I found a new one in the most unexpected way. This wasn't the life I had planned. But maybe, just maybe, this is exactly where I was always meant to be.